what we're cooking and what's on the menu today on Saints Now by Chat Sports. Is it time to tank? Do the New Orleans Saints need to just punt on this season, give up, and try and go get the best draft pick available? I'm going to give you my take, the pros and cons, and all of that sort of information as to whether or not it makes sense. And then I'm also going to talk about Michael Thomas and the rant that he went on social media yesterday during that Saints versus Lions game. There's a lot of crazy stuff to talk about. There's the aftermath that we have to discuss because Dennis Allen talked about it today. But before we get to that, lock us in, Saints fans, because if you agree with this T-shirt, fire Dennis Allen, fire Pete Carmichael. I need you to subscribe today. Join our squad of over 23,000. We're trying to get to 24K. Lock us in and subscribe today. So the New Orleans Saints are in a very interesting position considering the fact that they're in the worst division in all of the NFL. And this probably is the worst that this division's been, or any division has been, quite frankly, in the last 5 to 10 years, if you ask me. However, if you do somehow manage to win the NFC South, if things shake out in a very crazy fashion like they still can, the division winner likely will play against the Philadelphia Eagles or the Dallas Cowboys, whichever that number 1 seed as the wild card is, so the number 5 overall seed in the NFC playoff picture. The first place schedule next season is also at risk. And they can also, if you get the NFC South title, you could have draft pick anywhere from like 18, 19, 20, 21, somewhere in that range. I don't want to be picking there. I want to be picking a little bit closer to the top 10 considering how bad this team is. And if you ask me, I think if you do make the playoffs, that's reason to justify keeping Dennis Allen around to Mickey Loomis. And why are we talking about tanking? Well, QB1 is hurt again. Number 4. Concussion protocol, shoulder injury, 3rd time this season. So Carr is in concussion protocol. He is dealing with a shoulder and rib injury, and this is the latest updates coming in from the Dennis Allen press conference that ended just about 20 or 30 minutes ago. This is the 3rd shoulder injury for Carr this season, and Dennis Allen during that press conference said, the shoulder seems like it came out fine. So we're going to be talking about the tank. I'm going to be talking about what players that you could go and draft, where you're currently drafting as the New Orleans Saints, and a whole lot more. But before we get to that, I have to give a very special shout out to PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy sports made easy, and it's so much fun. And if you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and plug in promo code CLNS, you can get a first deposit match up to $100. For Monday Night Football, these are the projections I'm rolling with, and I'm trying to get rich, baby. I'm going to try and win 25 times my money by using that promo code CLNS. Jake Browning, less than 218.5 yards. Travis Etienne, more than 67.5 rushing yards. So how it works, you just pick 2, 3, 4, 5 players. You take more or less based on a numerical projection, and that's it. It's that simple. Just a couple clicks, and you can win real money. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use that promo code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. It's you versus numbers, not you versus pros, not you versus sharks, not you versus scammers. It's you versus numbers. Use that promo code, that link that's in the description and in the comment section of this video to get started today. PrizePicks, it's daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, so I am going to just start by saying this when it comes to the should we tank conversation. I refuse and I will not waver on my philosophy of a team should never entirely blow the whole thing up. Don't intentionally go and lose games. That is loser shit. That is what terrible dumpster fire franchises do. Absolutely not. Then you look at the current draft order, and I'm like, kind of see the appeal. Might make a little sense, actually. And quite honestly, there's more than just what you see on screen on the line. Like we talked about, there's next year's strength of schedule. There's the fact that you could argue to keep Dennis Allen around next year. And the current draft order, thanks to the Carolina Panthers sucking so much, the Chicago Bears are going to have 2 top 5 picks. Unbelievable. That is a masterclass from Ryan Poles to get It's just unbelievable what he's doing there. The New Orleans Saints, though, are picking at number 9, and notably, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 10. And before we go to this next graphic, Smitty, could we go right back to the draft order? It's all good. But I have this philosophy here, and I have this idea. If given the chance, I could see Tampa Bay trying to draft Jayden Daniels. Because let's look at this order. Number 1, Chicago. They're going to go more than likely a Caleb Williams. Number 2, New England. Drake May. Feels like a pretty solid pick there. I don't think the Cardinals are going to pick a quarterback. They got Kyler. I could see Washington giving Sam Howell another run. Chicago didn't take a quarterback with their first pick, so maybe they'll take one with the 5th pick. New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers is there. They got Zach Wilson as a backup. Maybe they want another guy, maybe as a backup behind Aaron Rodgers to develop. I could see the Jets being a team that goes and gets a quarterback. The Giants just paid Danny Dimes a ton of money. And Tommy DeVito is proving that he can maybe sort of stick around as a backup. The Titans drafted Will Levis last year. So if you ask me, it comes down to the New Orleans Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on who wants Jayden Daniels and who wants Michael Penix. And like I said a second ago, if given the chance, I could see Tampa Bay saying, F you Saints, F you divisional rivals. And I could see Tampa Bay saying, we're going to play the spoiler card, and we're going to draft Jayden Daniels so that way the Saints can't. Sure, I know that wouldn't be the end of the world. I personally think Michael Penix Jr. would be another great pick. But I could see Tampa Bay being like, we're going to get him. Suck it, New Orleans. And let's take a look at the remaining schedules and see how these things were going to shake out. Tampa Bay, they have some, not easy games, but Green Bay, they're pretty hot. They just took down the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football, Still got to play Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. The Saints, you still have to play the Giants, the Rams, the Panthers, Bucks, and the Falcons. The Panthers, you can see their schedule. They're out of it. They're picking like the number 1 overall. They're the first team eliminated from the NFC playoff picture. The Falcons are on top of the division. You can see the teams that they have to play. Quite honestly, I think that the Falcons could be in the position to possibly win this division. I'm sorry to say it. I really hate saying that, but winning the division is possible. It could still happen. Is it worth the squeeze? Is the juice worth the squeeze? Or are you going to try and, squeeze a big ol' orange and have a bunch of pulp come out? And by a bunch of pulp, I mean a bunch of bullshit. I just don't know if I'm trusting the New Orleans Saints to go and win this division. Because look at this NFC playoff picture. Had New Orleans literally beaten the Lions or the Texans or the Vikings or the Packers, like any of those teams, had you beaten any of them, you would be in the wild card right now. You'd at least be in the hunt. Had you beat the Vikings, you would be in the wild card. But you didn't because you're a fraudulent football team. The Falcons, they're on top of the division. It doesn't feel like the juice is worth the squeeze here. It feels like there's too many cons to, I'm not saying tank, but it just feels like there's too many reasons to say, you know what, this season's done. Let's just punt and let's just start over from scratch in the offseason. I hate to say it, but I think that it might be time to consider not losing games intentionally, but got guys who are hurt. Go ahead and just not risk further injury. If you got guys who aren't playing well, let's give some of these young bucks some run. Let's give, A.T. Perry, Jake Haener, let's give some of these guys a chance to see what they can do. So I want you to let me know. Is it time to tank? Type T for tank. If not, type W for win. All right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room here. That was a long little tank talk. Tank talk, not TED talk. Tank talk. Things got weird. Things got very, very weird on X yesterday. In case you missed it, we have screenshots of all of the drama that happened yesterday. So over the next couple minutes, we're just going to run through these screenshots and just talk about what happened. So first tweet that came out, Michael Thomas obviously did not travel with the team. He's on IR, or not travel with the team. He wasn't at the stadium. He wasn't at the game. He was watching from the couch. Here's what he tweeted. AT, wide open. That play that Derek Carr threw the interception to Juwan Johnson went right through his hands. Not on Derek Carr because Juwan Johnson should have caught the ball. But what is on Derek Carr is A.T. Perry. If you look at the screen on the left side, there is literally nothing except for real estate and a touchdown, a wide open touchdown. There's nothing but grass in front of him. Would have been a touchdown had Derek Carr not checked it down. So there's that to think about. Let's go to this next one. Y'all said I was throwing shade. Not at all. My eyes just work. Check yours. Mike Thomas kind of, he's turning up the heat a little bit if you ask me. So this is another one that I thought was very interesting just a few minutes later. When your eyes don't work, you get people hurt. It's no mystery, and it's something that needs to be studied. And I'm not going to accuse Derek Carr of injuring the players on the New Orleans Saints. I've seen a lot of people doing that on Twitter. If you really think that an NFL quarterback is trying to intentionally hurt his wide receivers or hurt his other players, you might need to get your brain checked. I'm sorry, but that's just a stupid effing statement. But look at the throw that he made to Rashid Shaheed that was behind him, that he had to contort his body. You saw the leg plant weird. A couple plays later, he's out. And then a couple plays later, he re-aggravates it, comes off the sideline, slams his helmet on the ground. Like, those are the kind of things that I'm saying. Derek Carr to Chris Olave against the Falcons on the sideline was a high hospital throw. Came down really weirdly. Like, I'm not going to blame Derek Carr for getting those players hurt, but I am going to say I think Carr can make better decisions. Like, it's just, there's too many instances of exactly what we just said. And then I found this tweet pretty interesting. Once Jameis stepped foot on the field, God is with Jado. So it appears that number 13 might have a guy that he wants throwing him the ball more than a guy who's currently throwing him the ball, or at least when he's healthy. It's just weird. I don't want to speculate. I'm not going to make accusations. I'm not going to sit here and say this is what Michael Thomas said. This is what was. I'm not getting into any of that nonsense because that's not my place. But this is interesting. A few hours later, Michael Thomas's Twitter gone. It is done. So it's weird, guys. It's freaking weird. In my eyes, I see this as Michael Thomas is a player who loves the New Orleans Saints. And he loves this team. He loves this fan base. He loves this state. He loves this city. But he is tired of the mediocrity. He's tired of empty promises. He's tired of the lack of accountability. The big difference between Drew Brees and Derek Carr, if you need just 10 seconds of examples, go look up a Drew Brees press conference after a loss, especially after the no call. Look at the press conference of, the interviews with him after those. And then look at Derek Carr after the losses that he's had with the New Orleans Saints. Very different verbiage, very different fingers are pointed, and very different words are said. And Dennis Allen, he did have his press conference today. And when he was asked about how the team is going to handle this situation with Mike Thomas and what's going on with the tweets, like, did you see him? What happened? What are your thoughts there? He said, I'm not going to talk about that all that much. We're going to keep it in-house. So Dennis Allen is a big advocate of, I'm not going to give you much information. I'm just going to handle it behind the scenes. I'm going to keep it real, though. Mike Thomas is absolutely spitting facts. He's not wrong. Nothing about what he said is incorrect, except for, you're going to, not you're going to get players hurt. Like the people saying that Derek Carr's hurting his players. Michael Thomas did not say an incorrect statement whatsoever in any of those series of tweets. You cannot question whether or not he loves this team. You cannot question whether or not he wants to play football with the New Orleans Saints. You can't question whether or not he's loyal to this franchise. I know that Saints fans have given him a lot of hard times over the years and a lot of flack, especially with the injury history. But if Michael Thomas doesn't represent what it means to be a New Orleans Saints football player in defending your team, defending your logo, defending your city at the absolute biggest cost you have to make, I don't know what it is. So I do want to kind of round things out, backtrack, and do give Derek Carr some love, and I do want to send like positive vibes his way because I don't give a damn if you hate Jameis Winston. I don't give a damn if you hate Derek Carr. I don't give a damn if you want Taysom Hill to start. I don't give a damn if you want Jay. I don't care. I could care less. This is a man who has a family, who has God-given talent, who is a leader, who is a well-spoken and just a good human being. You cannot argue that. He is a good human being. He may not be your favorite football player, but number 4 was a big, big, big reason that the New Orleans Saints were able to climb out and dig themselves out of that 21-0 deficit. Without Derek Carr playing well, that doesn't happen. Derek Carr was the number 1 PFF graded player on the Saints on the offensive side of the ball. You cannot question his toughness. He has been hurt multiple times this year. Derek Carr is one tough SOB, and you have to give him credit. You have to say, you know what? I dislike watching you play, but frickin' props, man. Like, damn, like that is, I can bite my tongue and say, oh, well, there you go. So I just wanted to end on a little bit of positivity and just give Derek Carr some credit, because it's not like every single thing he has done has been bad. There was a really cool throw to Rashid Shaheed in week 1. There was cool throws here, a run here, or whatever. Like, come on. I'm not a Derek Carr homer. I was literally just telling producer Smitty, I'm ready for another quarterback. But I've been very negative, so I'm going to be done being negative. So I want you to help me. Name one positive thing from this season so far. For me, I've been loving watching how Brian Brzee has developed. I've been loving seeing how well he has grown into this NFL role. There's a lot of scouts, a lot of people saying, we don't know if he can be that NFL guy. But he has been stellar. He's been really, really good. And he's been really showing that he can grow and become a better football player. Paulson Adebo could be another example. Jordan Howden could be an example. Isaac Yadam could be an example. There's plenty of players out there who you could. Jimmy Graham caught a touchdown in a Saints uniform in 2023. Like, that's freaking cool. So give me one positive. Give me just one, because we're trying to spread some love. We're trying to be a little bit happier around here. So without further ado, get in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching, Saints fans. Y'all stay golden. We'll catch you next time.